Before we toast to 15 years of marriage, let me share what my husband really thinks about the women in this city. Daniella Thornton's voice shattered the elegant atmosphere of the Eco Hotel ballroom like a grenade. 100 guests froze mid-conversation, champagne glasses suspended in air, mouths hanging open. The string quartet's romantic melody stumbled into discordant silence. Marcus Thornton, Lagos's golden boy, tech billionaire, philanthropist, the man whose face graced business magazines monthly, stood at the head table. His trademark confident smile cracked like glass under pressure. "Daniella, darling, what are you?" "Shut your lying mouth, Marcus." Her hand trembled as she held up a tablet, its screen glowing accusingly under the crystal chandeliers. "For 15 years, I played the perfect wife. I gave up my law career to support your dreams. I hosted your business dinners. I smiled for every camera while you built your empire on my sacrifice." Hello guys. Welcome to Stories by Stoner. Thank you so much for your continued support. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Drop a comment below telling us where you're watching from, and what would you have done if you discovered your entire marriage was built on lies. Let's dive in. The grand ballroom sparkled with excess, imported roses from Holland, champagne flowing like water, tables draped in cream silk. Nigeria's elite filled every corner, politicians in Igbada, society women dripping in coral beads and gold, business moguls networking between courses. This anniversary celebration had cost more than most Nigerians earned in a lifetime. Marcus Thornton never did anything small. Daniella's emerald gown, custom designed in Milan, caught the light as she moved to the center of the room. Her sister locks were styled in an elegant crown, her makeup flawless, her jewelry worth a small fortune. She looked every inch the billionaire's wife, poised, graceful, untouchable. But her eyes burned with something the guests had never seen before, pure, unfiltered rage. "Last Tuesday, I found something interesting on Marcus's laptop." Her voice carried across the silent room with the precision of her former courtroom days. A folder labeled, "Quality Assessment Reports." "I thought it was business research. Market analysis. Due diligence." Marcus's business partner, Raymond Brooks, shifted uncomfortably at table 5. Several women exchanged nervous glances. Someone's fork clattered against a plate. "It wasn't business," Daniella continued, her laugh sharp enough to cut. "It was a spreadsheet. A detailed, color-coded, meticulously organized spreadsheet documenting every single woman my husband has slept with over the past decade." The gasps came in waves. Marcus's mother, Mama Jo, clutched her chest, her traditional iro and booba suddenly seeming too tight. Her walking stick clattered to the floor. "Daniella, you're being hysterical. You're embarrassing yourself." Marcus started toward her, his hand outstretched. "Hysterical." She whirled on him, and he actually stepped back. "You rated them, Marcus. Physical appearance out of 10. Sexual performance. Detailed notes. Willingness to keep secrets. Usefulness for business networking. You had categories. Too clingy. Dispose after 3 months. Acceptable for international travel companion. Possible long-term side arrangement." She tapped the tablet. A woman's voice filled the speakers, young, hopeful, clearly infatuated. "You really think I'm special?" Then Marcus's voice, smooth as aged whiskey. "You're different from all the others, Bianca. I've never felt this way before." Daniella tapped again. Another woman. Different voice, same desperate hope. Marcus's voice again, identical words. "You're different from all the others. I've never felt this way before." Tap. Another recording. Same script. Different actress in his twisted play. 23 women, Marcus. Daniella's voice cracked, raw emotion breaking through her composure. 23 women in this city who believed your lies. Who thought they were special. Who gave you pieces of themselves while you rated them like meat at Mile 12 Market. The crowd erupted. Women standing, pointing, demanding answers. Men trying to calm their wives, looking at Marcus with new suspicion. Someone shouted, "Is my wife's name on that list?" Another woman burst into tears. Marcus's bronze complexion had gone ashen. "You don't understand the pressure I'm under. Building an empire, everyone wanting something from me." "So you built another empire of broken hearts?" Daniella's laugh was bitter. "You told me I was enough. That I completed you. That our marriage was sacred. But the truth is, no woman in this entire city could satisfy you. Could we, Marcus? Because you don't want satisfaction. You want conquest. You want to collect us like trophies, rate us like products, discard us when we expire." Marcus lunged for the tablet, but two security guards, hired by Daniella that morning, not him, blocked his path with crossed arms. "This marriage is over," Daniella announced to the room. "And by tomorrow morning, so is your squeaky clean reputation. I've sent copies of everything to the Punch, Vanguard, Premium Times, and every blogger in Lagos. The business deals built on lies and pillow talk, the women you manipulated into giving you insider information, the prenuptial agreement you fraudulently modified while I was grieving my father's death, all of it goes public at dawn." She turned toward the exit, then paused, looking back at her husband over her shoulder. "Oh, and Marcus? That offshore business account you thought I didn't know about? The one in the Cayman Islands? I froze it this morning. Turns out, when you're a lawyer, you learn how to find things. My legal team, yes, I assembled a team, will be serving you papers tomorrow. You're going to learn what it feels like to lose everything you value." The ballroom exploded into chaos as Daniella walked out, her heels clicking against Italian marble with rhythmic finality, her head held high, her spine straight as justice itself. Behind her, Marcus Thornton stood frozen among the wreckage of his carefully constructed facade, surrounded by accusing faces and whispered gossip, finally understanding what it felt like to have control ripped away. His phone buzzed. Then buzzed again. And again. The media storm was already beginning. What happens when a woman who sacrificed everything finally decides to burn it all down? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more gripping stories like this. What would you do in Daniella's position? Walk away quietly or expose everything? Comment below. You kept photographs? You kept photographs of all of them. Daniella's scream echoed through the empty penthouse at 2 a.m. Her hands shook as she scrolled through Marcus's laptop, each click revealing another layer of betrayal so deep it threatened to swallow her whole. The anniversary disaster was 6 hours old. Social media had exploded. #Billionaire player exposed was trending across Nigeria. News vans camped outside their Victoria Island estate. Marcus had fled to his mother's house in Ikoyi, but Daniella had returned home with one mission: find everything. She'd found more than she bargained for. The penthouse felt suffocating despite its floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Lagos lagoon. Daniella sat at Marcus's mahogany desk in his private study, a room she'd rarely entered in 15 years. He'd always called it his sanctuary, his thinking space. Now she understood why. The folder labeled Quality Assessment Reports was just the beginning. She clicked on another folder, Portfolio. Inside were hundreds of photographs. Women at restaurants, women in hotel rooms, women at business conferences. Some knew they were being photographed. Many clearly didn't. Her stomach lurched. She recognized faces. That banker's wife from their church. The event planner who'd organized their daughter's 10th birthday party. Wait, they didn't have children. Daniella had suffered 3 miscarriages before the doctors said her body couldn't carry to term. Marcus had held her through those losses, whispered that she was enough, that they didn't need children to be complete. Had he been sleeping with other women even then? While she grieved their unborn babies. Daniella opened another file, Acquisition Strategy. Her lawyer's brain, dormant for over a decade, kicked into gear as she read. This wasn't just infidelity. This was systematic manipulation. Marcus had documented his approach, identify successful women with access to valuable business information, seduce them over 3 to 6 months, extract insider knowledge about mergers, contracts, and investments, then phase them out before they became problematic. He'd literally built his tech empire on pillow talk and betrayal. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. Mrs. Thornton? My name is Bianca Forster. The voice was young, hesitant. I was at your anniversary dinner tonight. I'm the voice on one of those recordings. Daniella's grip tightened on the phone. I remember. I need to meet with you. There's more you don't know. Much more. Bianca's voice cracked. I'm not the only one he's still seeing. And some of us he's been blackmailing. Blackmailing. Daniella's blood ran cold. Meet me at Yellow Chili in Lekki tomorrow. Noon. Come alone. She hung up and returned to the laptop. Another folder. Insurance. She clicked it open and immediately wished she hadn't. Videos. Intimate videos. Women who clearly had no idea they were being recorded. Marcus's face never appeared in the footage, but his voice did, off camera, directing, coaxing, manipulating. This wasn't just adultery. This was criminal. Daniella's phone buzzed with a text from Raymond Brooks, Marcus's business partner. We need to talk. Not on the phone. Your husband isn't who you think he is. Meet me tomorrow, 10 a.m., my office. Come alone. Trust no one. She laughed bitterly. Trust no one? She'd trusted Marcus for 15 years. Her laptop pinged with an email notification. The subject line made her heart stop. From a friend, open immediately. The email contained a single attachment, a scanned legal document. As Daniella opened it, her legal training made sense of the dense text. It was a modification to their prenuptial agreement, dated 3 years ago, right after her father's funeral when she'd been drowning in grief. The original prenup had been fair, 50-50 split of assets acquired during marriage. This modified version gave Marcus 85% of everything, including her father's property that she'd inherited, which Marcus had helped her manage by transferring it into a joint investment vehicle. She'd signed it. She remembered signing something, Marcus saying it was just updating their estate planning for tax purposes, nothing major. She'd been so broken by her father's death that she'd signed without reading. He'd stolen her inheritance while she mourned. Daniella stood up, pacing the study, her mind racing. The room suddenly felt like a crime scene. She noticed things she'd never paid attention to before. A locked cabinet she'd assumed held business files, a safe behind a painting of Lego cityscape, a second phone charging in a drawer. She grabbed a letter opener and forced the drawer open. The phone was unlocked. Marcus's arrogance assumed she'd never invade his privacy. She scrolled through messages. Group chat. The Brotherhood. Members included Raymond Brooks and 4 other prominent Lagos businessmen. The messages made her physically ill. Marcus. New acquisition. Finance Minister's Chief of Staff. Should have the budget information by month's end. Raymond. Careful. She's married to Senator Ogundiel's nephew. Marcus. Even better. 2 birds. 1 stone. Senator's been blocking our telecom contract. They were trading women like business cards, using seduction as corporate espionage. Another message, from just last week. Wife's getting suspicious. Might need to activate contingency plan. Have the offshore accounts ready. Contingency plan? Daniella's hands trembled as she scrolled further. Raymond. You sure about this? Daniella's not stupid. Marcus. She's been stupid for 15 years. 1 more month, everything transfers, then I'm done. Bianca's already pregnant. Fresh start with someone who doesn't ask questions. The phone slipped from Daniella's hands, clattering onto the marble floor. Pregnant. Bianca was pregnant with Marcus's child. The child Daniella could never give him. The child he'd claimed didn't matter. The child he'd said they didn't need. All lies. Everything had always been lies. She picked up the phone with shaking hands and took screenshots of everything. Then she photographed every document, every folder, every piece of evidence in that study. Her phone's memory filled up. She grabbed a flash drive from the desk drawer and started copying files. That's when she found the final folder, buried deep in a subfolder within a subfolder, Disposal Protocol. Inside was a document titled, Divorce Strategy, Daniella. It was dated 6 months ago, meticulously planned like a military operation. How to gaslight her into appearing unstable. How to hide assets. How to ensure she left the marriage with nothing. Character witnesses already lined up to testify she'd been mentally unwell, jealous, paranoid. He'd been planning to discard her like all the others. She was just another item in his collection, one he'd finally grown tired of. But she'd beaten him to it. She'd exposed him first. Her phone rang again. Mama Joe's number. Daniella, my daughter, please. Come to the house. We need to talk about my son. There are things about Marcus's childhood. Things I should have told you before you married him. Things that explain. Nothing explains this, Mama. Please. I'm begging you. His father. Marcus's father was the same way. The apple didn't fall far from the tree. Come tomorrow morning, early, before Marcus wakes up. I'll tell you everything. Daniella agreed and hung up. She looked around the study one last time, this room that held 15 years of calculated deception. Her phone buzzed with a news alert. Breaking. Billionaire Marcus Thornton's business partners distance themselves following scandal. Stock prices plummet. Good. Let it all burn. But as she prepared to leave, she noticed one more thing. A handwritten journal tucked behind the law books on Marcus's shelf. She pulled it out and opened to a random page. The entry was dated 2 months after their wedding. Daniella serves her purpose. Good public image, respectable family, perfect trophy wife. But she's not enough. No woman is ever enough. They all disappoint eventually. The thrill is in the chase, not the catch. She'll do for now. Daniella closed the journal and placed it carefully in her evidence bag. Tomorrow, she would meet Bianca. Then Raymond. Then Mama Joe. She would gather every piece of evidence, every witness, every victim. And then she would destroy Marcus Thornton so completely that no woman would ever suffer at his hands again. The deeper Daniella digs, the darker the truth becomes. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. What do you think Bianca will reveal? What secrets is Mama Joe hiding? Comment your theories below. Your son destroyed my life, and you want me to have tea? Daniella stood in Mama Joe's pristine sitting room in Ikoyi, staring at the elderly woman who just offered her a cup of hibiscus tea as if they were having a casual morning visit. The audacity of normalcy in the midst of devastation made Daniella want to scream. Sit down, Daniella. Please. Mama Joe's voice was tired, aged overnight by scandal. The woman who'd always carried herself like royalty now looked frail in her wrapper and booba, her gray hair uncovered, her face bare of makeup. What I have to tell you. You'll need to sit down. It was 7 a.m. Daniella hadn't slept. After leaving the penthouse at 4 a.m. with 3 flash drives of evidence, she'd driven aimlessly through Lagos, watching the city wake up, wondering how the world could just continue when hers had imploded. She sat. Not because she wanted tea, but because her legs suddenly felt weak. Mama Joe settled into her chair with a heavy sigh. Marcus's father, Tobias, was my husband for 32 years. And for 32 years, he was unfaithful. Daniella's hands clenched in her lap. I discovered it on our 5th anniversary, Mama Joe continued, her voice distant, remembering. A woman called our house. She was pregnant. Said Tobias had promised to leave me and marry her. She was the 3rd woman that year. Why didn't you leave him? Because it was 1978, and I had 3 children under age 7, no education beyond secondary school, and nowhere to go. My family would have called it shame to return home. So I stayed. I stayed and I watched him collect women like stamps. He had a system, just like Marcus. Daniella's stomach turned. You knew Marcus was like this. I suspected. Mama Joe's eyes filled with tears. When he was 16, his school called. He'd been caught manipulating 3 different girls, telling each one she was his girlfriend, using them to cheat on exams, to get money from their parents. The headmaster said he'd never seen such calculated deception in a teenager. And you did nothing? I sent him to therapy. The therapist said he showed signs of narcissistic personality disorder, that he viewed people as objects to be used. But Tobias, her voice broke, Tobias was proud, said his son was smart, strategic, destined for greatness. He encouraged it. Taught Marcus that successful men take what they want, that women exist to serve men's purposes. Daniella stood abruptly, pacing the room. So you let him grow into a monster? You let him marry me knowing what he was? I thought you could change him. Mama Joe's voice rose, desperate. You were educated, strong, a lawyer. I thought if anyone could. I wasn't a rehabilitation project. Daniella's voice cracked. I was a woman who loved him, who sacrificed everything for him. And you, his own mother, let me walk into a trap. The door opened. Marcus stood there, eyes bloodshot, clothes rumpled from sleeping in them. He looked at Daniella with something between rage and desperation. So you turned my own mother against me? I didn't need to turn anyone, Marcus. You did this yourself. He stepped closer. Mama Joe stood up, positioning herself between them. Marcus, don't. Don't what? Don't try to talk to my wife. Don't try to explain that she's overreacting, that she's humiliated me publicly based on 23 women. Daniella shouted. Photographs. Videos you took without consent. Blackmail. Corporate espionage. A pregnant mistress. Which part am I overreacting to, Marcus? His face hardened. You went through my private files. Your criminal evidence, you mean? You have no idea what you've done, he said quietly, and something in his tone made ice run down Daniella's spine. I built an empire. I provide jobs for thousands of Nigerians. I've donated millions to charity. And you want to destroy all of that because your feelings are hurt. Your empire is built on exploitation. Every empire is. Marcus exploded. You think Gates, Jobs, Bezos got where they are by playing nice? You think Nigerian politicians got rich by being honest? I did what I had to do to succeed in a cutthroat world. By destroying women's lives. By using available resources. Those women got something from me too. Dinners, gifts, connections. It was transactional. They knew what they were doing. Daniella stared at him, truly seeing him for the first time. You actually believe that? You genuinely think you did nothing wrong? I think you're naive. I think you lived in a fantasy where love conquers all and marriage is sacred. Welcome to reality, Daniella. This is how the world works. Mama Joe slapped him. The sound cracked through the room like thunder. Your father's son, she whispered. I prayed you'd be different. I prayed every night that you wouldn't become him. But you're worse. At least Tobias felt shame. You feel nothing. Marcus touched his cheek, shock flickering across his face before his mask returned. I'm leaving. When you both come to your senses, you know where to find me. He walked out. The front door slammed. Daniella collapsed into the chair, her whole body shaking. The adrenaline that had sustained her for the past 12 hours suddenly drained away, leaving nothing but raw pain. I gave him 15 years, she whispered. 15 years. I had 3 miscarriages trying to give him a child he said he wanted. I gave up my career. I gave up my friends because he said they didn't understand our lifestyle. I gave up everything. And none of it mattered. I was never even real to him. Just another resource to exploit. Mama Joe knelt beside her chair with difficulty, taking Daniella's hands. I failed you. I should have warned you. I should have protected you like I couldn't protect his other victims. I was a coward. How many? Daniella asked. How many women did his father destroy? Too many. Some left Lagos entirely. One had a breakdown. Another. Mama Jo's voice dropped to a whisper. Another took her own life. She was 19. Tobias had promised to marry her, got her pregnant, then laughed when she told him. She hung herself in her family's compound. Horror washed over Daniella. Did Marcus know? He was 12. He found her suicide note. She'd written Tobias's name over and over. And you know what Marcus said when I tried to explain how serious it was? He said, she was weak. Weak people don't survive. Daniella pulled her hands away, standing on shaky legs. I need to leave. I have meetings, Bianca at noon, Raymond at 10. Daniella. Wait. There's more. Mama Jo reached into her booba and pulled out an envelope. I hired a private investigator 6 months ago. When I saw Marcus with another woman at a restaurant, treating her exactly how he treated you in the beginning, I knew it was happening again. She handed Daniella the envelope. This is everything my investigator found. Bank accounts. Properties registered under shell companies. Women who filed police reports that mysteriously disappeared. Marcus has connections. Daniella. Police commissioners. Judges. Politicians. He's protected. Daniella opened the envelope. Her hands trembled as she read through report after report. Marcus didn't just have affairs. He had a system. When women threatened to expose him, evidence disappeared. When they tried to file charges, cases were dismissed. When they went to the media, stories were killed. He was untouchable. Why didn't you give this to me before? Because I'm a coward, Mama Jo repeated, tears streaming down her face. Because he's my son, and despite everything, I kept hoping he'd change. I kept hoping that one day he'd wake up and be horrified by what he'd become. But he won't. He can't. Something inside him is broken, has always been broken, and I helped break it by staying silent. Daniella's phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. Mrs. Thornton, this is Detective Yemi Okonkwo, Gender-Based Violence Unit. I saw the news. I've been trying to build a case against your husband for 2 years. Women have come to me, but evidence always disappears. If you have proof that can't be corrupted, I need it. Meet me today, 3 p.m., Police Headquarters, Oberland. Come prepared to make an official statement. Another text, from Bianca. Change of plans. Can't meet at Yellow Chili, too public. Come to my office, Island Business Center, 12th floor. Marcus is looking for me. I'm scared. Then Raymond, Daniella, Marcus knows we're meeting. He's threatening me. I'm at my lawyer's office. Come here instead, he has security. 10 a.m. still works. Address attached. Be careful. Daniella looked at Mama Jo. He's trying to control the narrative. Threatening people before they can talk to me. He's dangerous when cornered. His father was the same way. Mama Jo gripped Daniella's arm. When Tobias realized I was planning to leave him, he fabricated evidence that I was mentally unstable. He nearly had me committed to a psychiatric facility. I only escaped because my brother was a lawyer and fought for me. What are you saying? I'm saying Marcus has already started. Look. Mama Jo showed her phone. A gossip blog had published an exclusive interview with an unnamed source claiming Daniella had been mentally unstable for years, jealous and paranoid, that the anniversary dinner was a psychotic break, that Marcus had been trying to get her help but she refused treatment. The article had already been shared thousands of times. He's destroying my credibility before I can use the evidence, Daniella whispered. Her phone rang. Her younger sister, Folake, calling from Ibadan. Danny, what's happening? Mama just called me crying. She saw something online saying you're having a mental breakdown. She wants to come to Lagos to take you home. Folake, listen to me carefully. I am not having a breakdown. Marcus is spreading lies because I exposed his affairs. I need you to call Mama and tell her I'm fine, that nothing online is true. Can you do that? Of course, but Danny, the things they're saying. They're saying you made up the evidence. That you're trying to destroy Marcus because you're infertile and bitter. Daniella closed her eyes. He was weaponizing her deepest pain, her inability to have children. It's all lies, Folake. All of it. But I need time to fight back properly. Keep Mama calm. I'll call her tonight. She hung up and looked at Mama Joe. I need to go. I have 3 meetings and a police statement to make. And I need to do it before Marcus discredits me completely. Take this. Mama Joe pressed something into Daniella's hand. A key. My safety deposit box at First Bank. Inside is Tobias's journal from before he died. He wrote everything down, every affair, every manipulation tactic. Marcus learned from that journal. It's his playbook. Use it. Daniella hugged the older woman. Thank you. For finally telling the truth. I should have told it 15 years ago. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. As Daniella walked to her car, her phone exploded with notifications. More articles. More anonymous sources, painting her as unstable. Marcus's PR machine was in full force. But she had evidence. Real evidence. And now she had allies, Bianca, Raymond, Detective Okonkwo, even Mama Joe. The war was just beginning, and Daniella was done playing defense. Hello guys. Welcome back to Stories by Stoner. If this story is hitting home, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with anyone who needs to hear it. Have you ever discovered that someone you loved was living a double life? Drop your story in the comments. You're not alone. What do you think Bianca will reveal at the meeting? Let us know below. When the world calls you crazy for speaking the truth, how do you prove you're the sane one? Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. What should Daniella do next? Go to the police first or gather more evidence? Comment your advice below. He didn't just seduce me, he OWNS me. Bianca Foster's voice broke as she paced a corner office on the 12th floor of Island Business Center. The floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Lagos's chaotic beauty, but neither woman noticed the view. Bianca's designer pantsuit was wrinkled, her natural hair disheveled, her eyes red and swollen. Daniella sat on the leather sofa, still processing what she'd learned from Raymond an hour earlier. Now Bianca was unraveling before her eyes, and the truth was somehow worse than anything Daniella had imagined. What do you mean he owns you? Daniella asked carefully. Bianca stopped pacing and pulled out her phone with shaking hands. I mean legally, financially, he owns me. Look. She showed Daniella a contract. As Daniella read, her legal training kicked in despite her exhaustion. This wasn't just a business agreement. It was indentured servitude dressed in corporate language. When did you sign this? 6 months ago. I just started my consulting firm, business strategy for tech startups. I was drowning in debt, struggling to compete with established firms. Then Marcus came to me with an offer. He said he believed in me, wanted to invest in my company. 2 million naira. It felt like a miracle. But there were conditions. Always conditions with Marcus. Bianca's laugh was bitter. She pulled out another document. This is the real contract, the one his lawyers made me sign privately. For every month I accepted his investment, I had to provide him with comprehensive business intelligence on my clients. If I refused or tried to leave, I'd owe him 10 times the investment amount, plus interest. Daniella's blood ran cold. He was forcing you to spy on your own clients. Tech startups that were potential competitors to his companies. He wanted to know their strategies, their funding sources, their weaknesses. I gave him everything because I had no choice. And then... Bianca's hand moved unconsciously to her stomach. Then I got pregnant. When did you find out? 3 weeks ago. I told Marcus immediately. You know what he said. Tears streamed down Bianca's face. He said, perfect timing. A baby gives me more leverage. Now you really can't leave. Daniella stood, fury replacing exhaustion. He said that. Those exact words. I recorded it. I've been recording our conversations for 2 months because I knew something was wrong. The way he talked about you, about other women, like we were all pieces on a chessboard. Bianca pulled up a recording on her phone. Listen. Marcus's voice filled the office, smooth and calculated. Bianca, you need to understand your position. You're carrying my child, yes, but you're also bound by contract to my companies. If you even think about going to Daniella or the authorities, I have evidence of corporate espionage with your signature all over it. You'd lose your business, your reputation, possibly face criminal charges. So let's be smart about this. You continue providing me with information, you have the baby, and we maintain our arrangement. Everyone wins. Bianca's recorded voice, small and frightened. What about your wife? Marcus laughed. Daniella's usefulness has expired. She can't give me children, she's becoming suspicious, and frankly, she's boring. I'm planning to divorce her within 6 months anyway. You're younger, more ambitious, more malleable. Much better mother material. The recording ended. Daniella sat back down, her legs suddenly unable to support her weight. Hearing him say it out loud, that her usefulness had expired, that she was boring, cut deeper than she'd expected. There's more, Bianca said quietly. She pulled out a folder thick with documents. Marcus has been doing this for years. Not just the affairs, the contracts. He finds ambitious women with struggling businesses, offers them investments, then traps them in legal agreements that force them to spy, to steal information, to compromise their ethics. Some of them are still trapped. How many? That I know of. 8. But I think there are more. He has a type, educated professional women who are hungry for success and vulnerable enough to accept help from someone powerful. Daniella took the folder with trembling hands. 8 women. 8 businesses used as fronts for corporate espionage. This wasn't just infidelity anymore. This was organized crime. Why didn't any of them report him? Same reason I didn't. The contracts are airtight. His lawyers are the best in Lagos. And Marcus has dirt on all of us. Fabricated if necessary. One woman tried to go to the police last year. Within a week, she was arrested for fraud based on evidence Marcus's team manufactured. The case was eventually dismissed, but her reputation was destroyed. Her business collapsed. She left Nigeria entirely. Daniella's phone buzzed. Message from Detective Okonkwo. Mrs. Thornton, we need to move up our meeting. I've received threats from higher-ups to drop any investigation into your husband. Can you come to police headquarters now? Use the back entrance on Alakoro Street. Tell the guard Detective Okonkwo sent you. I have to go, Daniella said, standing. The detective investigating Marcus is being pressured to back off. Wait. Bianca grabbed her arm. There's someone else you need to meet. Today. Now, if possible. Her name is Ngozi Okafor. She used to work for Marcus 5 years ago. She was his executive assistant. She knows everything. Where the bodies are buried, literally. Literally. Bianca's face went pale. There was a woman named Funk. She threatened to expose Marcus after he got her fired from her job at a bank. She'd given him confidential information about the bank's clients, and when he was done using her, he reported her to her bosses for unethical behavior. She lost everything. She told Ngozi she was going to the newspapers, going to tell everything. What happened to her? She died. Car accident on 3rd Mainland Bridge. Single vehicle collision, supposedly lost control, went over the railing into the lagoon. They recovered her body 3 days later. The room felt like it was spinning. You think Marcus? I don't know. I don't have proof. But Ngozi said Funk called her the day before she died, said she was being followed, that she was scared. And then the next day, she's dead. The police ruled it an accident. Case closed within a week. Daniella's phone rang. Mama Joe. Daniella, where are you? Marcus just left here with 2 men in suits. He said he's filing a court order to have you committed for psychiatric evaluation. He has a doctor who's willing to sign papers saying you're a danger to yourself. You need to disappear. Right now. I can't disappear. I have evidence to give to the police. Then give it to them and leave Lagos. My child, Marcus is not going to let you destroy him. When his father felt threatened, he became violent. Marcus has his father's cruelty but more resources. Please, I'm begging you. The office door burst open. 2 security guards entered, followed by a woman in a navy suit carrying official-looking papers. Daniella Thornton, the woman asked. Who are you? I'm Dr. Taiwo Fashola, psychiatric consultant retained by your husband. I have a court order signed by Justice Adele Eek authorizing a 72-hour psychiatric hold for evaluation. These officers are here to escort you to Sanctuary Hills Psychiatric Facility. On what grounds? Daniella's lawyer instincts kicked in even as panic flooded her system. Your husband has submitted evidence of erratic behavior, public disturbance, paranoid delusions, and threats of self-harm. For your own safety. Those are lies. He's trying to silence me because I exposed his affairs. Mrs. Thornton, please don't make this difficult. The court order is valid. You can challenge it after the evaluation period, but right now, you need to come with us. Bianca stepped forward. You can't take her. She hasn't done anything wrong. This is illegal detention. Ma'am, please step back. We have legal authority here. One of the security guards moved toward Daniella. She backed away, her mind racing. If they took her to a psychiatric facility, Marcus would control the narrative completely. She'd be the unstable, jealous wife having a breakdown. All her evidence would be dismissed as the ravings of a mentally ill woman. Her phone buzzed again. Raymond, Daniella, Marcus's lawyers got a judge to sign commitment papers. Don't let them take you. I'm sending my driver to Island Business Center now. Black Mercedes, license plate LSR 442AA. Run. I need to use the bathroom, Daniella said suddenly. Mrs. Thornton. You can't deny me basic human dignity. I need to use the bathroom before you take me anywhere. There's one in this office. She pointed to the door behind Bianca's desk. Dr. Fashola nodded to the guards. Fine. But make it quick. Daniella walked calmly to the bathroom, closed the door, and locked it. Her hands shook as she pulled out her phone and forwarded everything, every photo, every video, every document from Marcus's laptop, to 3 email addresses. Detective Okonkwo, her sister Folake, and a journalist friend from her university days who now worked for The Guardian. Subject line, if anything happens to me, publish everything. She heard the guards arguing with Bianca outside. She had maybe 2 minutes before they broke down the door. The bathroom had a window. Small, but she was slender enough. She pushed it open and looked down. 12 floors up. No way to climb down, but the building next door was close. Maybe 3 feet away, same height, with a wider ledge. She'd never done anything like this in her life. But she'd also never been hunted by her own husband. Daniella climbed onto the window ledge, said a prayer, and jumped. She landed hard on the neighboring building's ledge, her ankle screaming in pain, but she'd made it. Behind her, she heard the bathroom door crash open, heard Dr. Fashola shouting. She ran along the ledge to a fire escape, climbed down 3 floors on the external staircase, and found an unlocked office. A startled administrative assistant looked up as Daniella burst in. Please, Daniella gasped. I need to get to the ground floor without using the elevators. Where are the service stairs? The young woman, wide-eyed, pointed. Through that door, turn left, all the way down. But. Thank you. Daniella ran, ignoring the fire in her ankle, ignoring the stares of office workers, ignoring everything except the need to escape. She reached the ground floor and burst out of the service entrance into the Lagos heat. A black Mercedes was idling at the curb. The driver rolled down the window. "Mrs. Thornton? Mr. Brooks sent me. Get in. Now." She dove into the back seat. The car peeled away from the curb just as she saw Dr. Fashola and the guards emerge from the building's main entrance. "Where are we going?" Daniella asked, trying to catch her breath. "Mr. Brooks said to take you somewhere safe. Somewhere Mr. Thornton can't find you. He said you'd know what that means." Daniella did know. Years ago, when she'd still practiced law, she'd helped establish a safe house for domestic violence survivors in Surulere. Marcus didn't know about it. It had been one of the few things she'd kept private. Her phone rang. "Detective Okonkwo. Mrs. Thornton, I got your email. All of it. This is bigger than I thought. I'm bringing in the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. But I need you alive and free to testify. Your husband has powerful friends, but so do I. Can you get to safety?" "I'm going to a safe house. I'll send you the address once I'm there." "Good. Don't trust anyone connected to your husband." "And Mrs. Thornton? That woman Funk who died?" "I pulled the accident report. There were inconsistencies we never investigated because pressure came from above. I'm reopening that case. If your husband is responsible, he's going to answer for it." The call ended. Daniella leaned back in the seat, her whole body shaking from adrenaline. She just jumped between buildings 12 floors up, fled from a forced psychiatric hold, and learned her husband might be responsible for a woman's death. This was no longer about a cheating spouse. This was about a predator who'd been operating in plain sight for years, protected by money and connections. But now Daniella had allies. Now she had evidence that couldn't be destroyed. And now she was angry enough to see this through to the end, no matter what it cost. Her phone buzzed one more time. Unknown number. Text message: "You can run, Daniella, but you can't hide forever. You're making this worse for yourself. I'm giving you one chance to make this go away quietly. Meet me at the house tonight, 8 p.m. Come alone. We can still fix this before you destroy both our lives. M." Daniella stared at the message. Marcus still thought he could manipulate her, still thought he was in control. She typed back, "The only thing I'm destroying is your lies. See you in court. D." Then she blocked his number and finally let herself cry. When the hunter becomes the hunted, how far will a guilty man go to protect his secrets? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more. Do you think Marcus was involved in Funk's death? Should Daniella have responded to his message? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Every woman he destroyed is in this room, and we're done being silent. Daniella stood before 12 women in the safe house's meeting room, her voice steady despite the exhaustion weighing on her bones. It was 9 p.m., 2 days since she'd escaped the forced psychiatric hold. 2 days of hiding, planning, and reaching out to every woman whose life Marcus had touched and broken. Now they were here. 12 survivors. 12 witnesses. 12 weapons in Daniella's arsenal. The safe house in Surulere was modest, a 3-bedroom apartment converted into temporary shelter, painted in calming blues and greens, with bars on the windows and multiple locks on the door. The meeting room had been cleared of furniture except for folding chairs arranged in a circle. Coffee and biscuits sat untouched on a corner table. Nobody had an appetite for food when they were finally speaking their truth. Bianca sat to Daniella's right, 6 weeks pregnant and still deciding whether to keep the baby. To her left was Ngozi Okafor, Marcus's former executive assistant, her face carved with the weariness of carrying secrets for 5 years. The other 9 women ranged in age from 26 to 52, each with their own story of how Marcus Thornton had entered their lives like salvation and left them in ruins. "My name is Tammy Johnson," a woman in her early 30s began, her British-Nigerian accent crisp despite her trembling voice. I moved back to Lagos from London 3 years ago to start a fintech company. Marcus approached me at a tech conference, said he admired my work, wanted to mentor me. Within 3 months, we were sleeping together. Within 6 months, I'd given him access to my company's proprietary algorithms. He patented them under his own company's name. When I confronted him, he said I had no proof of original ownership. He'd made sure of that. My company folded. I lost everything. Essay Odalai. A woman with traditional tribal marks on her cheeks spoke next. I was a journalist investigating corruption in the tech sector. Marcus seduced me to find out what I knew, who my sources were. Then he fed me false information that destroyed my credibility when I published it. I was fired. Blacklisted. I now drive Uber to survive. One by one, they shared their stories. Each one a variation on the same theme. Marcus identifying ambitious, vulnerable women, offering help or love or both, extracting what he needed, information, connections, legitimacy, sex, then discarding them with calculated cruelty, often destroying their reputations or careers in the process to ensure their silence. He told me I was special, whispered a young woman named Yatund, barely 26, tears streaming down her face. I was working at a bank, entry-level position. He came in for a meeting with my boss, noticed me, started sending flowers. I thought a man like that, choosing someone like me, meant something. For 6 months, I gave him confidential client information because he said it was for market research. When my boss found out, I was arrested for bank fraud. Marcus's lawyers made sure there was no trail leading back to him. I spent 8 months in Kirikiri prison. My family disowned me. I have a criminal record now. I can't work in banking ever again. Daniella's hands clenched. Every story made her angrier, more determined. These weren't just affairs, they were calculated destructions of women's lives. Why didn't any of you report him? Asked Detective Yemi Okonkwo, who sat in the corner taking notes. She'd been working with Daniella since the escape, and hearing these testimonies live was transforming her investigation from domestic dispute to criminal conspiracy. Ngozi, the former executive assistant, answered. Because Marcus doesn't just have money. He has insurance. When I worked for him, part of my job was maintaining the files. Every woman he targeted, he gathered blackmail material. Sometimes it was real, evidence of corporate espionage they'd committed under his manipulation. Sometimes it was fabricated, doctored emails, fake financial records, staged photographs. He had lawyers on retainer specifically to destroy anyone who threatened him. Where are these files now? Detective Okonkwo leaned forward. Encrypted, stored on a private server. Only Marcus has the access codes. But I remember some of what was in them. I can testify to the blackmail, the manipulation tactics, the system he built. It won't be enough, said a woman named Hauer, a software engineer who'd given Marcus access to her company's cybersecurity protocols. We need the actual files. We need his own documentation of his crimes. Otherwise, it's our word against his, and we all know how that story ends. I can get into the server, said a quiet voice from the back. Everyone turned. A slight woman in her 40s, who'd been silent until now, raised her hand tentatively. My name is Mojap. I haven't spoken because I'm ashamed. I designed Marcus's entire digital security system 5 years ago. I built the encryption for that server. I have backdoor access. The room went silent. Why didn't you say something before? Bianca asked. Because he has my daughter. Mojap's voice broke. My 14-year-old daughter, Titi. When I tried to leave him 2 years ago, he took her. Legally, he'd manipulated me into signing custody documents when I was drugged at a hotel. He told me if I ever spoke against him, I'd never see her again. She lives with his sister in Abuja now. He sends me photos once a month to prove she's alive. But I never get to speak to her. Daniella felt sick. He kidnapped your child? Legally kidnapped. The courts believe she's with family while I work through mental health issues. Marcus made sure I was diagnosed with depression after he isolated me from my support system. His psychiatrist wrote the evaluation. Judge signed off on temporary custody. That was 2 years ago. The case keeps getting delayed. Detective Okonkwo was already on her phone. I'm calling the Child Protection Unit right now. We're getting your daughter back, Mojap. Today. No. Mojap grabbed the detective's arm. If he thinks I've betrayed him, he'll disappear with her. I know him. He has resources, multiple countries where he has properties, fake passports. Please. We have to be strategic. Daniella's mind raced. What if we get TT back as part of a larger operation? We get the files from the server, we coordinate with multiple law enforcement agencies so Marcus can't make calls to have the cases buried, and we extract TT simultaneously so he can't use her as leverage. That's a massive coordination effort, Detective Okonkwo said. We'd need EFCC for the financial crimes, computer crimes unit for the server breach, child protection for TT, gender-based violence unit for the testimonies. And we'd need to move fast before Marcus's connections shut us down. How fast? Asked Ngozi. 72 hours. We gather every piece of evidence, coordinate every unit, and strike all at once. A simultaneous raid on his offices, his homes, his server location, and his sister's house in Abuja. Can you make that happen? Daniella asked. Detective Okonkwo made another call, this time to someone she addressed as Commissioner. The conversation was terse, heated. Everyone in the room held their breath. She hung up. I have 72 hours and full authorization. But if we fail, if Marcus's lawyers get injunctions, if his political connections intervene, everyone in this room becomes a target. We get one shot at this. One shot to bring down a man who's been untouchable for 2 decades. Then we make it count, Daniella said firmly. She turned to Mojap. Can you really access his server? Yes. But I'll need physical access to any device connected to his network. His laptop, his office computer, even his phone would work. Once I'm in, I can extract everything. The files, the communications, the financial records. Everything. His laptop is at the house in Victoria Island, Daniella said. I can get us in. I still have keys, and I know the security codes. That's breaking and entering, Detective Okonkwo warned. It's retrieving my own property from my marital home. He hasn't changed the locks yet because he thinks I'm too scared to return. He's wrong. Bianca stood up. I'm coming with you. Marcus thinks I'm still under his control, still too afraid to act. If he's there, I can distract him while you access the laptop. Too dangerous, Daniella protested. Every woman in this room has been in danger since we met Marcus Thornton. At least now we're doing something about it. Bianca looked around the room. All of us. We're all in danger until he's stopped. So let's stop him. The other women nodded, a ripple of determination passing through the room. Detective Okonkwo stood. Here's the plan. Tomorrow night, Daniella and Bianca retrieve the laptop. Mojap extracts the files. Meanwhile, I coordinate with EFCC and computer crimes to prepare simultaneous warrants. We'll need sworn statements from all of you, detailed accounts of Marcus's crimes. We'll need financial records, contracts, any documentation you have. We'll need everything. What about the media? Asked S.A., the former journalist. If this goes to trial, Marcus will spin the narrative. He'll paint all of us as scorned women seeking revenge. We need public opinion on our side. I have contacts, S.A. continued. Real journalists who care about truth, not tabloid gossip. Once we have the evidence, once arrests are made, I can ensure the real story gets told properly. But we have to control the timing. If word leaks too early, Marcus will know we're coming. No media until after the raids, Detective Okonkwo said firmly. No social media, No phone calls to anyone outside this room. Marcus has tech guys monitoring for mentions of his name. One wrong post, one careless call, and this whole operation collapses. Daniella's phone vibrated. She'd gotten a new phone with a secure number only these women and Detective Okonkwo knew. The message was from Mama Joe. Marcus just left my house. He's planning something. He kept asking where you might hide. He mentioned the safe house network you worked with years ago. I told him I didn't know, but Daniella, I think he's searching property records. You may not have much time. She showed the message to Detective Okonkwo. We move the timeline up, the detective said immediately. We go tomorrow night for the laptop, but everyone needs to leave this location tonight. Spread out to different safe houses across the city. We can't risk him finding you all together. Where do we go? Yatund asked, fear creeping into her voice. I have contacts, said Ngozi. Women's shelters, church networks, even some hotels owned by women who've been helping domestic violence survivors quietly for years. We can scatter and regroup only when it's time to give official statements. Detective Okonkwo pulled out a notebook. Give me names and numbers. I'll coordinate secure locations for each of you. But from this moment forward, trust no one. Marcus has people everywhere. Police officers, judges, corporate security. Until we have him in custody, assume you're being watched. The next hour was organized chaos. Phone calls were made to various safe locations around Lagos. Detective Okonkwo arranged for unmarked police vehicles to transport the women in small groups at different times to avoid detection. Each woman was given a burner phone with only one number programmed, Detective Okonkwo's direct line. As the women prepared to leave, they hugged each other. These strangers united by trauma, now bonded by purpose. We're really doing this, Bianca whispered to Daniella. We're really taking him down. We're trying, Daniella corrected. But yes. After tomorrow night, either we have everything we need to destroy him, or he destroys us first, Bianca finished. Mojap approached them, her face pale but determined. There's something else you need to know about the server. It's not just evidence of his crimes. He keeps files on everyone, his business partners, politicians he's bribed, judges he's compromised. If we expose those files, we're not just taking down Marcus. We're taking down half of Lagos's elite. Good, Daniella said coldly. Let them all fall. Every person who enabled him, who protected him, who looked the other way while he destroyed women's lives, they deserve to fall too. Detective Okonkwo overheard. Mrs. Thornton, that kind of exposure could get you killed. These are powerful people who won't go down quietly. I've been running and hiding for days. I'm done being afraid. Either we do this right, expose everything, hold everyone accountable, or we don't do it at all. The last woman left the safe house at 11 p.m. Only Daniella, Bianca, Mojap, and Detective Okonkwo remained, finalizing the plan for tomorrow night's laptop retrieval. The house will be empty from 7 to 9 p.m., Daniella said, studying the building's layout she'd drawn from memory. Marcus has a board meeting at his office downtown. I saw it on his public calendar. The household staff leaves at 6 p.m. Security guard patrols every 30 minutes but spends most of his time at the front gate. We'll have a 2-hour window. What if he comes home early? Mojap asked. Then Bianca's phone call distraction kicks in. She calls him claiming she needs to talk urgently, keeps him on the phone or convinces him to meet her elsewhere. Meanwhile, I get to the laptop, you extract the data, and we leave. And if the distraction doesn't work? The room fell silent. They all knew the answer. If Marcus caught them in the house, caught them accessing his files, their testimony would become worthless. He'd claim they planted evidence, hacked his systems illegally, prove they broke into his home. Every case against him would collapse. It has to work, Daniella said simply. Failure isn't an option. Too many women are counting on us. Mojap's daughter is counting on us. Every woman he'll hurt in the future if we don't stop him now, They're all counting on us. Detective Okonkwo's phone rang. She answered, listened, and her face went grim. That was my commissioner. 2 of Marcus's lawyers filed emergency injunctions tonight attempting to block any investigation into him. They're claiming harassment, demanding all evidence collected against him be declared inadmissible. The hearing is scheduled for day after tomorrow. Before our 72 hours are up, Bianca said. Exactly. If those injunctions go through, this entire operation is dead. We need those files from the server before that hearing, and we need them to be so damning that no judge, corrupt or not, can ignore them. Tomorrow night, then, Daniella said. No delays, no second chances. We get the laptop, Mojib extracts everything, and we hand it all to EFCC and computer crimes by midnight. They raid at dawn before the hearing. Everyone nodded, understanding the weight of what they were attempting. As they prepared to leave for their separate safe locations, Mojib touched Daniella's arm. Thank you. For believing us. For fighting when you could have just taken your divorce settlement and disappeared. Thank you for caring about the rest of us. We're not the rest of us, Daniella said. We're all his victims. We're all survivors. And tomorrow night, we become the ones who brought him down. Together. They left the safe house in darkness, scattering into the Lagos night like soldiers before a battle. Each woman carrying her own wounds, her own story, her own reasons for wanting Marcus Thornton to finally face justice. Tomorrow night would determine everything. Tomorrow night, they would either retrieve the evidence that would destroy Marcus's empire, or they would become his next casualties. Daniella sat in the back of Detective Okonkwo's unmarked car, watching the city lights blur past. Somewhere out there, Marcus was confident in his invincibility, certain that his money and connections made him untouchable. He was about to learn that the most dangerous thing a powerful man could do was underestimate the women he destroyed. When survivors unite, even the most powerful predator can fall. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story with anyone who needs to know they're not alone. Do you think Daniella and Bianca will succeed in getting the laptop? What would you do in their position? Drop your predictions in the comments below. You thought you were untouchable, Marcus. You were wrong. Detective Yemi Okonkwo's voice rang out across the lobby of Thornton Technologies as dawn broke over Lagos. Behind her stood officers from EFCC, Computer Crimes Unit, Gender-Based Violence Division, and federal high court bailiffs carrying stacks of warrants. Employees arriving for work froze in confusion as the building was locked down. Marcus Thornton stood in the center of the chaos, his expensive suit rumpled, his face a mask of disbelief and rage. For the first time in his life, he wasn't in control. But this moment, this perfect moment of justice, had begun 12 hours earlier, in the darkness of the Victoria Island mansion that Daniella had once called home. The house stood silent at 7:30 p.m., exactly as Daniella had predicted. She and Mojib crouched behind the garden wall, watching the security guard complete his patrol and return to his post at the front gate. Bianca sat in a car 2 blocks away, phone ready for the distraction call if needed. Now, Daniella whispered. They moved quickly across the manicured lawn, staying in the shadows of the mango trees Marcus had planted during their 5th anniversary. Daniella's hands shook as she punched in the security code, Marcus's birthday, because he was that predictable. The light turned green. The door clicked open. Inside, the house was exactly as she'd left it during the anniversary dinner. Elegant, cold, expensive. A showcase, not a home. It had never been a home. His study is upstairs, Daniella whispered. 3rd door on the right. The laptop should be on his desk or in the safe behind the painting. They climbed the marble staircase, their footsteps muffled by the Persian runner. Every shadow felt threatening. Every creak of the house settling made them freeze. The study door was locked. Of course it was. I can pick it, Mojib said, pulling out a small toolkit. I learned during my years with Marcus. Had to access his files sometimes when he was traveling. Took me 3 minutes. It took 4. The lock clicked. They entered. Marcus's laptop sat on the desk, closed but still warm. He'd been here recently. Daniella's heart hammered as Mojib opened it, connected a small external drive, and began typing commands into a black terminal window. The encryption is military grade, Mojib muttered, her fingers flying across the keyboard. But I built it. I know the weaknesses. Code scrolled across the screen, incomprehensible to Daniella. Minutes ticked by. 5, 10, 15. How much longer? Daniella asked, watching the door. Almost through the first layer. There are 3, maybe 20 more minutes. Too long. They'd been in the house for 18 minutes already. Security patrol would come by again in 12 minutes. Daniella's phone vibrated. Text from Bianca. Black SUV just pulled up to the front gate. It's Marcus. He's home early. Calling him now for distraction. Panic flooded Daniella's system. She showed Mojib the message. I need 15 more minutes minimum, Mojib whispered urgently. Then Bianca gives us 15 minutes. Downstairs, they heard the front door open. Marcus's voice, talking on his phone. Don't care what the lawyers say. I want every one of those women discredited by tomorrow. Find their weaknesses, their secrets, their... He stopped mid-sentence. His phone was ringing with another call. Bianca. This better be important. I'm in the middle of... What? Slow down. You're where? The hospital. His voice shifted to concern, the same false concern he'd given all of them. Which hospital? I'll come right now. Just breathe. Tell me what happened. Footsteps moving away from the staircase. The front door opening again. No, don't hang up. I'm getting in the car now. Stay on the line with me. The door closed. Engine started. The SUV pulled away. Daniella exhaled shakily. Bianca had told him she was having pregnancy complications, that she was scared, that she needed him. She was at a hospital in Acadia, 45 minutes away in Lagos traffic. He'd never make it there and back in time. We have maybe an hour, Daniella said. Finish the extraction. Mojib nodded, sweat beading on her forehead despite the air conditioning. Second layer breached. Going into the third now. The terminal filled with file names. Thousands of them. Organized by year, by woman's name, by type of crime. Oh my God, Mojib whispered. This is everything. Business deals, bribe records, blackmail files, offshore accounts. Daniella, this isn't just evidence against Marcus. This is evidence against dozens of people. Politicians, judges, business leaders. Half of Lagos's elite is compromised in these files. Copy everything. Every single file. The progress bar crept forward agonizingly slowly. 23%. 31%. 45%. Daniella's phone rang. Detective Okonkwo. We have a problem, the detective said without preamble. One of Marcus's lawyers got wind of unusual police activity. They're trying to get an emergency judge to issue a restraining order against the investigation. We need those files in the next 2 hours or we lose our window. We're at 52% on the copy. We need more time. You don't have more time. Marcus's lawyer is calling in favors. If we don't move tonight, we'll never get another chance. The progress bar reached 67%. There's another problem, Detective Okonkwo continued. Marcus's sister in Abuja just moved with Mojib's daughter. Our contacts in Abuja lost track of them. If we raid Marcus's properties without securing TT first, he'll use her as leverage to negotiate. Mojib's face went white. She'd heard every word. Find her, Daniella said firmly. Whatever it takes. That child doesn't deserve to be a bargaining chip in her mother's fight for justice. I have the Abuja police searching now. But Daniella, if we can't locate TT before the raids, then we don't raid. We're not sacrificing a child's safety to bring down Marcus. We find another way. There is no other way. His lawyers will bury this by morning. The progress bar hit 78%. Mojip stood abruptly, pulling out her own phone. She dialed a number with shaking hands. Isioma? It's me. I know we haven't spoken since you moved to Abuja, and I know Marcus told you I was unstable. But I need you to listen to me carefully. My daughter is in danger. Marcus has been using her to control me. I need to know where you took her tonight. Please. I'm her mother. Silence. Then Mojip's sister-in-law's voice, cautious. Marcus said you might call. He said you'd make wild accusations. He said. He's a predator, Isioma. He's hurt dozens of women. The police are building a case against him right now. And if you don't tell me where my daughter is, you become an accessory to child endangerment. You're scaring me. Good. You should be scared. Where is TT? More silence. Then, we're at the Transcorp Hilton. Room 512. Marcus paid for us to stay here for a few days. He said it was a treat for TT, but now I'm wondering if he was hiding her. Daniella, what's really happening? Mojip's eyes filled with tears. Keep her in that room. Lock the door. Don't let anyone take her except uniformed police with proper identification. I'm calling them right now. She hung up and immediately called Detective Okonkwo back. Transcorp Hilton, Abuja. Room 512. Send officers now. My sister-in-law will cooperate. Progress bar. 89%. Daniella's phone buzzed. Bianca, he's turned around. He called the hospital to verify my story. They told him no one by my name was admitted. He knows it was a trap. He's coming back. Maybe 20 minutes away. We need to leave, Daniella said. Now. 94%, Mojip said, her voice tight. 5 more minutes. We don't have 5 minutes. Then we lose everything. This download is the only copy. If I unplug now, the encryption resets and we start over from zero. We'll never get another chance. Daniella made a decision. Finish the download. I'll slow him down. She ran downstairs, grabbed her phone, and called Marcus. He answered on the first ring. You're in my house, aren't you? You broke into my house. Our house. Legally still our house until the divorce is final. I'm 3 minutes away, Daniella. Whatever you're doing, it's not going to work. I have lawyers, judges, politicians in my pocket. You have nothing. I have the truth. And in 3 minutes, I'll have proof of everything you've done. Every woman you destroyed. Every crime you committed. Every person you bribed. It's all coming out, Marcus. You think you can threaten me? His voice turned cold, dangerous. I will bury you. I will destroy your family, your reputation, your life. I will make sure you spend the rest of your days in a psychiatric facility or a prison cell. You have no idea who you're dealing with. Actually, I do. I'm dealing with a coward who preys on women because that's the only way he feels powerful. I'm dealing with a man so insecure he needs to rate and rank women like products to feel adequate. I'm dealing with a criminal who's been hiding behind money and connections his entire life. But that ends tonight, Marcus. Tonight, everyone sees exactly who you are. She hung up and ran back upstairs. Mojip. 99%. Almost. There. The progress bar hit 100%. A chime sounded. Got it. Everything. Every file copied. Mojip ejected the external drive and shoved it into her bag. They could hear Marcus's SUV screeching into the driveway. Back door, Daniella said. They ran through the house as the front door crashed open below. Marcus was shouting, his footsteps pounding up the stairs. Daniella, I know you're here. You're finished. You hear me? Finished. They reached the back door just as he reached his study. His roar of rage echoed through the house as he discovered his laptop still open, still warm, the terminal screen showing evidence of the breach. Daniella and Mojip sprinted across the back garden, through the service gate, to where Detective Okonkwo waited in an unmarked car. They dove inside. "Drive," Daniella gasped. The car peeled away as Marcus burst out of the house, screaming threats into the night. "Did you get it?" Detective Okonkwo asked. Mojip held up the external drive. "Everything. Every crime. Every victim. Every co-conspirator. It's all here. Then we move now. Tonight. Before his lawyers can stop us." They drove straight to EFCC headquarters. By midnight, Tech Forensics had verified the file's authenticity. By 2 a.m., warrants had been issued for Marcus Thornton, 3 of his business partners, 2 judges, and a dozen co-conspirators. By 4 a.m., teams were positioned at every location for simultaneous raids at dawn. And at 6 a.m., as the sun rose over Lagos, justice finally came for Marcus Thornton. The EFCC raid on Thornton Technologies was just the beginning. Simultaneously, officers raided his homes, his offshore accounts were frozen, and in Abuja, child protection officers reunited TT with her mother in a tearful embrace at the Transcorp Hilton. Marcus was arrested in his office, handcuffed in front of his employees, charged with corporate espionage, fraud, blackmail, conspiracy, and 17 counts of sexual coercion through manipulation. His business partners tried to flee. Raymond Brooks made it to the airport before being detained. The others were arrested at their homes. The judges named in the bribery files were immediately suspended pending investigation. By noon, every media outlet in Nigeria was running the story. Not the story Marcus's PR team tried to spin, but the real story, told by Esse, the former journalist, who'd coordinated with ethical reporters to ensure accuracy. The headlines read, "Tech Billionaire's Empire of Exploitation Exposed. Dozens of Women Come Forward," and "The Predator in Plain Sight. How Marcus Thornton Used Success as a Weapon." Daniella watched the news coverage from the safe house, surrounded by the 12 women who'd made this possible. They held hands, cried, laughed, celebrated. After years of silence, years of fear, years of carrying the weight of Marcus's crimes, they were finally free. Detective Okonkwo called with updates throughout the day. The EFCC found evidence of 47 million naira in bribes to government officials. Computer crimes recovered deleted files showing systematic corporate espionage dating back 15 years. Gender-Based Violence Division has testimonies from 26 women, with more coming forward every hour. "What about Marcus?" Daniella asked. "Denied bail. The judge, one who wasn't on his payroll, called him a flight risk and a danger to witnesses. He'll be in custody until trial." "How long until trial?" "Fast-tracked given the evidence volume and public interest. Maybe 4 months. Daniella, we did it. We actually did it." That evening, Mama Jo came to the safe house. She looked older, more fragile, but also somehow lighter, as if a burden had been lifted. "I should have stopped him years ago," she said to the room full of women. "I should have believed the signs. I should have protected you all. Instead, I protected my son's secrets, and you paid the price. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." "You're here now," Daniella said gently. "You testified. You gave us the evidence from your husband's journal. You helped us understand the pattern. That matters." "My son will go to prison," Mama Jo said, not a question but a statement of fact. "Yes," Daniella confirmed. "For a very long time." "Good." The word was firm, final. "Good." 6 weeks later, Daniella sat in the courtroom as the preliminary hearing began. Marcus looked smaller somehow, diminished in his prison-issued clothing, his trademark confidence replaced by hollow defiance. The prosecutor presented evidence. The spreadsheet rating women, the blackmail files, the financial crimes, the testimonies of 26 victims. Hour after hour of documentation proving systematic abuse of power. Marcus's expensive lawyers tried every tactic, claiming entrapment, questioning the legality of the laptop access, challenging witness credibility. But the evidence was overwhelming. Even they knew it. After 3 days, the judge ruled. The evidence presented demonstrates a pattern of predatory behavior, criminal conspiracy, and flagrant abuse of power. Mr. Thornton will remain in custody pending trial. Trial date set for 4 months from today. As Marcus was led away, he turned to look at Daniella one last time. She met his gaze steadily. No longer the woman who'd believed his lies, no longer the wife who'd sacrificed everything for a mirage. She was a survivor, a fighter, a woman who'd helped bring down a predator. He looked away first. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. Daniella stood with Bianca, Marjop, holding her daughter's hand, Ngozi, and several other survivors. They'd agreed to speak publicly, to put faces to the story, to show the world what survival looked like. "We're not asking for sympathy," Daniella said into the cameras. "We're demanding accountability. Not just for Marcus Thornton, but for every person who enabled him, who looked away, who chose power and profit over protecting women. This case isn't just about one man's crimes. It's about a system that allowed him to commit them for 20 years. That system must change." The reporter asked, "What's next for you, Mrs. Thornton?" "I'm reopening my law practice, specializing in cases of domestic abuse, corporate exploitation, and gender-based violence. I'm using my settlement from Marcus, every naira, to fund legal representation for women who can't afford it. And I'm never, ever staying silent again." The interview ended. The women hugged each other, aware that the trial would be difficult, that Marcus's lawyers would attack them, that the coming months would test them. But they'd already survived Marcus Thornton. They could survive anything. 3 months later, Bianca gave birth to a daughter. She named her Hope. Marjop started a cybersecurity consulting firm with TT as her inspiration, building systems to protect women's data from predators. Ngozi wrote a book about her experience, which became a bestseller and prompted legislative hearings about corporate accountability. Essay returned to journalism, her reputation restored, her voice stronger than ever. And Daniella? Daniella kept her promise. Her law firm, Phoenix Legal Services, opened in Ikoyi with a mission statement: rising from ashes, fighting for justice. The trial lasted 6 weeks. Marcus Thornton was convicted on 38 counts. The judge sentenced him to 25 years in prison without possibility of parole for 10 years. His business empire collapsed. His assets were liquidated to pay restitution to victims. His name became synonymous with predatory behavior and corporate corruption. But more importantly, his conviction sent a message across Nigeria, across Africa, across the world. No man is untouchable. No amount of money can buy immunity from justice. And women who unite in truth-telling are an unstoppable force. On the 1-year anniversary of the anniversary dinner that changed everything, Daniella stood in her new law office. The walls were decorated with photos of the women they'd helped, the cases they'd won, the lives they'd rebuilt. Her phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello, Mrs. Thornton. My name is Divine. I saw your interview. I've been trapped in a situation similar to what you went through. I don't know where to start, but I need help." Daniella smiled. "You've already started. You made the call. Now let me tell you what we're going to do. Because that's what survivors do. They rise. They fight. They help others rise and fight too. And no billionaire, no matter how powerful, could satisfy his greed enough to stop them." Hello Stories by Stoner Family. This is what justice looks like when women refuse to stay silent. If this story touched you, inspired you, or reminded you of your own strength, hit that like button and subscribe. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment telling us, what was the most powerful moment in this story for you? And remember, you are never alone. Your voice matters. Your truth matters. You matter. From broken to powerful, from victim to victor, that's the journey of healing. Don't forget to turn on notifications for more inspiring stories. Thank you for being part of this community. Until next time, stay strong, stay brave, and keep rising. This is Stories by Stoner, signing off. The end.